This is at the site of the old Ben Carpenter house on Break Mountain, Lower Lick Run. Ben and his wife Violet were the last, Violet was his second wife, the last people to live here with their son John. There's some pretty astonishing facts about this. Ben was 45 years older than his second wife Violet. Ben had died in 42. The reason I'm here is we did find a house coal mine behind this property up the hill here. But this is pretty impressive to have an original cut stone fireplace still standing after at least 80 or 82 years of this place being abandoned. Another, looks like a hearthstone of some type here. Large cut stone laying right there. The property's now owned by Sonny and Stephen Fisher. There's also a cemetery, family cemetery up here. I'll go take a look at that log structure over there. It's like a barn. Still standing because they did put a roof on it 50 years ago, metal roof. The house where the chimney was log also, but it just rotted away over the years once the roof went. And I understand that cemetery's up there in the woods on a little flat, so we'll go look for that, and then we'll go over to the mine.
John Carpenter.
And I'm guessing, based on what Hazel told me, you were born about 1926. Is that right?
25.
25. Okay, even further back. Where were you born at?
At Hacker Valley somewhere. Over.
You were born in 25, and as far as you remember, that house that we're talking about with the big chimney and everything, that's where you grew up initially?
Begin with.
Begin with. All right. How big, can you describe the house to me? What was the house like?
Well, it was built out of hewed poplar logs.
Okay. Do you know who built it?
Dad, I think my dad built it. He built this house, and he built that chimney.
Okay.
He was a chimney mason.
He was. Okay.
And he lived there till he, passed away. He had a kitchen built on the end.
Okay.
He had a front room with the fireplace and the chimney.
Okay.
Then he had 2 bedrooms in the back part of the building.
All right.
And I don't know.
Was it 1 story or 2 stories?
Just a 1 story with an upstairs.
Like a loft?
Like a loft.
Was the loft used for anything?
Well, yeah, he used it for storage and stuff.
Okay. What was the floor like in that?
Well, it was made out of, now I don't know where the lumber come from, but it was a hardwood floor.
Okay.
And over the ceiling, it was sealed with poplar lumber. Probably they sawed it with a saw, I don't know. Yeah, he had a barn.
Okay.
Up above the house. And he called it a corn crib down below the house. And then he had a little house with a spring in it. But we got our water out around down in the holler from out of under a big rock.
Okay.
Give you a close-up of this log barn. Still standing, original logs, date back probably well over 100 years. And I think in the 70s, as Sonny Fisher told me, the owners of the property back then actually lived in this for 2 years. So I'm sure that the mortar and rocks in between the logs, they did that. This was just like an animal barn. Right over there's the chimney. And that mine, if you see, there's a little flat right there. It's just about 50, 60 yards up the hill there. And this was all cleared off. I have a lot of pictures of the family from this time area that they would have been living here prior to the 40s. Yeah, Sonny Fisher's cleared this off with his dozer.
Well, he had a cow. We had some sheep.
Okay. Now, when you grew up, let's say going up towards the cemetery and up towards the coal mine that we're talking about, was that cleared off? Was that like a field?
Yeah.
How old were you when you would have moved out of that house there, your dad's house?
Oh. Probably. Let's see. Probably 43
Okay.
or 44.
Was your dad still alive at that time?
He died in 42.
42. Okay. So you stayed in the house a couple years after he died?
Yeah.
Your dad died in 42, so you were 17 years old when your dad died.
Yeah.
Okay, now I understand your mom was Violet Simmons,
Yeah.
and that was your dad's second wife.
Yeah.
And his first wife was, do you remember who his first wife was?
A Schrader, I think.
Right, okay. Indiana Elizabeth Schrader.
I don't know whether they showed you where the cemetery is or not, but
All right, what can you tell me about the cemetery? I have been there.
it's right up on the hill from where the house used to be, on a little flat.
Right. All right, who, as far as you know, who's buried up there?
Well, Dad's first wife, and I think Powers Channel maybe had a boy or somebody, or an infant, something was buried there.
Okay.
And I don't remember too much about the old people back then. They never did really tell me about it, but anyway, that little old cemetery's there.
Just about 50 yards up the hill from where the stone fireplace is. Here's the cemetery. Okay, Ben Carpenter's parents were Thomas Carpenter, and you can see they replaced just the cut stone that has no markings on it with a newer stone. 1816, 1880 about. His wife was Eunice, maiden name Cowger, C-O-W-G-E-R. 1820 to 1880 about. So that's Ben Carpenter's parents. Ben's first wife was Indiana Elizabeth Schrader, maiden name, S-C-H-R-A-D-E-R, Carpenter. I actually think those dates are correct, 1859, 1904. I believe Ben was born in the 1850s, about 1857, 56. His second wife, Violet Simmons, was born in 1903. "45 years younger than Ben." I think there's maybe one of Ben's grandchildren that are buried here, but you see the rest are just unmarked. If the leaves were off, you'd probably see that chimney through there. Maybe you could see the clearing down there in the center, just right down there. So we're back to the mine now.
Well, there used to be one up from where the house sat, go up on the flat. There used to be a coal mine in there.
Okay. Was that the only one that you can remember?
That's the only one I remember of much that was used. Now down, well, it was on, to begin with, my dad let my half-brother, Manuel Carpenter, have a patch on the lower end.
Okay. I know where that's at.
Well, now there was a coal mine out in the holler there. I mean, after you go down there and go out this way.
Right. That coal mine, can you remember how big it was?
Well, I don't remember. It was probably 10 or 12 feet wide, and I don't know, it went under a good piece, but I don't remember how long, how far.
25 or 30 feet, maybe?
Yeah, or more than that, probably.
Okay. And did you, when you were in it, did you have to kind of crawl on your knees to get the coal?
Well, we had to crawl on our knees, hands and knees part of the time, but it was only about 3.5 or 4 foot.
Did you use that coal for anything out of that old coal mine?
Well, we did. After so long a time, I dug some coal and I used it there for that. Some in the fireplace on a grate.
Okay.
But our main heat back then was wood. But
right.
it wasn't quite in the middle of that seam. There was a slate
Yeah.
separator.
Yeah. So it was actually like two seams then of coal. You dug coal out of that little mine on the property where the chimney is. How did you get it from the mine down to your house? Did you just carry it in buckets or what?
Well, I had a little hand sled that I pulled it.
Okay. Yeah, that's not very far up there. That's pretty close
No.
to the house. Yeah.
No. But
It's looking off to the left side right there. And I see roots hanging down. I can tell you, I put the 2x4 12 foot in, got the camera on it, hit water right away, and I could, now that I have the light on it, I could see the water laying on the floor there. So there's a considerable amount of water here. That's about as far to the right that I could get it. That's looking straight back. Not a whole lot to this mine. Kind of have the light hitting the water, so I might adjust the light and see how far back there we could actually see. Before I do that, let me zoom in some. Not sure if that's coal back there or not. Looks like that is as far back as they went right there. Unless, it went around to the right there. It looks like there could be a chamber around to the right. Maybe even off to the left over there. Right? Possibly, I'm not sure. Tilt it here. You can see right where the water ends off to the left here, that's this backfill, as this mine, has been abandoned for over 80 years now. At least 82 to 83 years. So that's the backfill. Pretty hard rock it looks like. It's like if there was coal in there, they've got it. Now right there, okay. That light colored rock up above the water there, if you look right behind it, it looks like there might have been some small coal right there. Right there about in the center. Where they might have chipped away right there. Alright, I'm going to adjust the light. Okay, I've adjusted the light. That's the left side you're looking at. There is a good bit of water in there. Now there's the back. And again, right about in the center there, right on the edge of that wall, looks like a little bit of coal. But boy, this didn't look like it had much coal in it. Now let me zoom in there. Yeah, I could see, okay, right there in the center of the screen, that dark layer back there was coal above that rock that's like that brown colored rock sticking up out of the water. That's coal back there. So they did have a coal seam, but it's not a very big one. This is very low coal. I wouldn't say the ceiling is 3 feet, and the seam may only be about 1.5 feet. Right back there. Right there you can see some. It's kind of looking off to the left a little. Not a big mine at all, but I don't know how long they were here. If his dad was here, probably 50 or 60 years. Thomas Carpenter and Eunice. And then his son took over the house, Benjamin, up until the 40s. There's a good 60, 80 year period they could have been using this. Huh. A lot of digging for a very small mine here.